Auto recording. And we're live.
Hello, people of That Beautiful Life podcast. Very much welcome to this episode, which is, by the way, number 174. This is Roddy Bergström talking all the way from Stockholm, Sweden. I'm sitting here in my, pajamas trousers, I would say. I didn't have the time to change before the recording started. It's quite warm in my room, I'm not going to lie. The sun is shining outside, which has been the case for quite some days, which is really, really nice. Although the temperature was a bit lower a few days ago. However, on the other receiving end of my talk, my mic, I guess, my old friend is sitting there coughing and sneezing a bit, but he'll talk more about it himself. Welcome, my dear friend. How are you, Q?
I'm fine. I am perfectly fine.
Good.
I'm recovering from a sickness called that we in the industry like to refer to as convention flu.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's how it is. Just recovering some convention flu.
Yeah.
Similar to you, I'm just wearing trousers. I've got like these shorts on. No t-shirt, no nothing. It is warm right now.
Yeah.
It's so good when it's warm, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
So
good
good.
though. I mean, we talked about it already last week. You know, the change now going from a bit more steady weather. At least that is as it looks right now. I mean, I think we had a bit of rain during one night, which is perfectly fine. But it's it's getting there. It's really nice. I think yesterday I couldn't even spot a cloud in the sky. On the other hand, it was only like 15, 16 degrees, I think. Today it will mostly climb over 20 here at least. So we'll see how it's gonna play out.
Interesting.
My friend, another week has passed, and it goes fast. I must say, I felt almost as we were speaking just a few days ago, but it's more than that. It's actually almost like it's 7. And you have been doing interesting stuff, which you kind of revealed already.
Have I?
Want to talk about that? Yeah, well, you said something about convention flu, so I thought that might be a bit of a hint.
Is it?
Who knows?
Who
Are
knows
people
what it
paying
is?
attention? I don't know.
I don't know if people are paying attention. I'm basically just messing. If you guys are watching the podcast and not listening, as you know, most people listen to a podcast. But if you're watching it and you're seeing random gameplay popping up, that's just because I'm trying to cycle through some footage to see which one I can use. Because the game I wanted to use, I realize I don't have footage of it.
Not yet, at least.
Yeah, not yet. And then I realized I was gonna live stream it, like play it while we were talking. But then I also realized I don't have it installed on this computer. I have it installed on my laptop. So yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but that being said, it has been a week. It has been an interesting week. I went to Comic-Con this weekend. MCM London Comic-Con, which they have it twice a year. It's in June and it's in, well, not June, sorry, this was May. So May and October. All right. And we just went to the May one, and it was interesting. It was interesting. It was fun. I didn't expect the most out of it, but I got a lot out of it. It was quite the experience, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, my memory is short nowadays. So is this the first time you go
second
to this event?
So this is my second time going to Comic-Con. First, I don't seem to remember it fondly my first time, but this second time around, it was amazing. It was brilliant. Like I really enjoyed the second time around. It was 3 days in London, so I ended up booking an Airbnb in a place called Dartford, which is I guess it's like a county in London or something. It's like right outside to the right of London, like central London. So I stayed there. It's kind of like, I think it's part of Kent, but I don't know. Anyway, there I was in Dartford. Booked a weekend there, and stayed Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday I made my way back home after the convention. First day, I had a bunch of suitcases with me and stuff because I didn't go straight to I went straight to the convention center, not to what do you call it? To the Airbnb. And the convention was great. Like, honestly, we had a good time. There was a lot of stuff to do. There were panels with cool things. There were games to check out. Not a lot of games though, but when I said the games to check out, they had like full arcade setups, and I remember seeing those things and thinking, my God, that looks magnificent. So they had like actual arcade machines set up there.
Oh, that's cool.
With with games like Street Fighter and Marvel vs. Capcom kind of stuff on there, and a few others. And you had people just sitting down playing, and then they had old school GameCubes there as well. People playing GameCube games on these like tons of Teles and stuff, playing classic games. And I think that is so cool for like younger generations, like younger kids who didn't like grow up with arcades and stuff like that, like we had. You know, I think in our day, arcades were everywhere. You know, it was a big part of like our generation was to have an arcade. Sure. You know, whereas I think for the current generation, they don't have that. You know, like I could walk to my town center or whatever, and there would be an arcade. I remember we had an arcade called in my neighborhood. It was called Buck's Arcade. I think the guy who owned the arcade was called Buck. I think that was his name, or that was his nickname. Yeah. That's how we knew him as that's Buck's Arcade, right? So someone would be like, "Oh, I'm going over to Buck's," you know, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool." Yeah. Or meet me at Buck. I'm gonna play some Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah, that's so nice.
So that's kind of how we knew it growing up. But they don't have that. So being able to go to Comic-Con, an event like that, and celebrate like gaming culture and nerd culture and all that kind of beautiful stuff in one place, to me, that's just, there's something special about it. There's something that's just honestly special about going to something like a Comic-Con and experiencing all of that greatness, you know, that exceptional stuff in that location with so many other people who appreciate and love that kind of cultural stuff. So you had people from every age, every background, whatever you want to think about, they were there, you know. So you had parents with their kids, you had people of all shapes and sizes, you had people of all different colors, and they were all in costume and they were having fun, and it was just magnificent. I mean, I'm saying this as if this is my first convention, but It feels like every time I go to a convention, it feels a little bit like it's my first, because of the fact that sometimes I forget just how amazing these things can be. And going to MCM London just reminded me of all that. And I think one of the best things that sort of like triggered that sort of memory of like, wow, Comic-Con is amazing and all that kind of stuff, was because of the fact that whenever I asked someone to take their picture, the reaction they gave was exceptional. Like I'd ask someone, "Hey, can I take a picture? Is it okay? Are you cool with me taking a picture or whatever have you?" And they would just be like, the way they would react, it was a reaction of like, yes, please. And it was like, they were so thankful. They were so happy about it, you know? You know, like some people were just like, "Are you sure you want to take my picture?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, definitely." And they'd be like, "Wow." And they would just, it was wonderful, you know, honestly. And I think for some people, obviously they probably didn't, they don't see themselves as being the best cosplayer or whatever have you and so forth. So when someone asks to take their picture, they're not expecting it. Even, for example, like some people told me, like when I asked to take their picture, they were like, "No one has asked to take my picture all weekend." So I'm a bit surprised. You know,
right.
And it makes me
what's happening here?
It makes me wish that I had more time or larger camera crew or something to just take every single person's picture, just so that everyone feels that special feeling of like, everyone who's in cosplay just feels that good feeling of like, hey, I put the effort into building this cosplay and making this, and it got some appreciation somewhere, by someone.
But it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear that, because I've had the same feeling. You know, here in Stockholm, the Comic-Con is it's in like fall. I think around late September or October. Actually, it could be October, to be honest. I think so. Yeah. Well, due to Corona, it hasn't been a thing, right? So yeah, I might go there actually. I remember it changed. It was like it was called GameX or something before. It was more focused on gaming only, but yeah, it went into like Comic-Con also here, and which, as you describe, the mix of both like gaming and comics, and of course also the whole cosplay thing. And and I think that's great what you're describing, because it takes quite some time. I mean, some guys put down a lot of time into making those kind of costumes, so I think they deserve the attention, definitely. So wow, cool.
Most definitely. And I think other than the fact of like, the cosplayers as well, I think there's also the fact of it's just a place that you can just be yourself, your nerdy self, with whoever you want to be there with, your partner, your friends, your kids, your whoever. and just be able to just release that sort of side of yourself, which is something I think a lot of people don't do. Like I think a lot of us sometimes we're into a lot of nerd culture stuff, but we have a professional life outside of that, and we have to keep that professional version of ourselves up and nice and dandy and stuff like that. But whenever you're able to sort of like not do that, I think that's great. I think that's brilliant when you can just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna be my nerdiest self, and I'm gonna cosplay. I'm gonna play some games. I'm gonna nerd out with people about random stuff. Like you just stand up and talk to, like, even just some of the people I interviewed and chatted with. Whether it was there were these guys from a two podcasts I ended up interviewing people from, and when I spoke to them, they're both tabletop podcasts. So the podcasts that they do are for tabletop games. And so like they basically, one of them is like in a sense, it's like their tabletop games are sort of like they're telling this long running story that you're in the story, and they're telling the story about these characters that they've made up and all that kind of stuff, which is amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I know that one I haven't listened to yet, but after interviewing the cast from that, I was just like, I can't wait to hear what your podcast sounds like. And their podcast is called Backwater Bastards. And they've got these cool created characters, and it's all fun looking and all that kind of stuff. And then there was this other podcast where I got to sit down and talk to the host of that one. Mm-hmm. And well, the host from that particular podcast, when I actually listened to half of their podcast, and theirs is like they do similar stories, like they'll create characters and all that kind of stuff, and they'll play. But their sort of ones are sort of, they're bite-sized. So within like 4 episodes, they'll complete like a storyline, and then they'll start something new the next week or whatever have you, and so forth.
Okay.
So in for that one, you can pick up almost anywhere and just start listening to it. That one's called What Am I Rolling? And they get a bunch of different people on, and they all just sort of like, join in the fun. And but it seems like it's not the same people every time, except for like the host Fiona. I think she's the constant. But I think they have different people throughout, like joining in. That's why I have to say I think, because I've only listened to half of one episode and I haven't gotten through the rest of it. But it is cool. It was cool. And just generally like chatting with other people. There were these guys who I met. They do comic books, and but not just simple comic books. They do comic books that are for what do you call it? They're comic books for education, which I didn't even know was a thing. They were educational comic books. So the characters were like, one of the main characters, he was like Mr. Matt something, Mr. Matnician or something like that was his name. And his enemy was this evil person or evil entity that was basically like using sending out these horrible math programs, these difficult math programs to basically like take over the universe. And Mr. Matnician would go around and he would solve the problems, right? which would like defeat the bad guy, which when I heard of that, I was like, that's such a clever way to like get kids to like learn maths, because a lot of the times when it comes, like I remember when I was younger and I had to do my studies and stuff like that, I would hide a comic book in my in between my school book sometimes and read comics. But imagine if the comic book was the learning and you were like, reading the comic book and learning stuff as you're going along. That is just brilliant. It is. That's such a cool angle to sort of like capture that side of like of the market. Basically, it's an untapped market if I do say so myself. Other than that too, there were panels. So there was a God of War panel there. I got to sit through that, which was awesome. It was cool seeing the voices, the people who make the voices for the characters in God of War. I thought that was amazing. Just to shout out the name of the comic people, I just found their name. It's Sovereign Comics is the name of their comic comic line. Or their company. But yeah, there was everything there. There was a panel for Star Trek, for this new Star Trek series that's going on Paramount Plus. There was a panel for I think it was it Yu-Gi-Oh? Yeah, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh panel. There was just a lot of merch. A lot of people buying cards. A lot of there were some people. They had this group. Their thing was I think it was called something about it was called Do I Look Like a Gamer? And their whole campaign is basically about like, gamers look at, the gamers don't just have a simple look, like maybe some people have an impression. I don't think that's as common anymore, but I think maybe some people have an impression of what gamers look like. I think nowadays with how many people game and how popular it is in the space, I think people don't have an impression of gamers anymore. I think that's my personal, but they have a campaign going where they basically have a bunch of different gamers from a bunch of different backgrounds, and they basically just sort of like, I think it's like a gaming positivity kind of thing, which I think is cool. So there were people like that there. There were just, it was, if you could imagine it for a Comic-Con, it was there. People were in costumes. You had Daleks sliding around the show floor. You had a bunch of content creators. There was this one guy there, and I really, I tried to make arrangements to sort of have a sit down and chat with him. And maybe I'll hit him up like now after the event is over and stuff. But he was probably one of the most impressive people at the event for me. And his whole thing, his company's called Figo, it's Figigo is the name of his company. And his whole thing is they make sort of like Funko styled figures, but not Funkos. But I say Funko style because it's easier for you guys to like picture it, because they look better than Funkos, at least as far as I'm concerned. And so they make these little figures, and they're made of people that you can have them. So if you're a content creator or whatever, streamer or whatever have you, and you wanted a figure of yourself to like sell as merch, you couldn't really just go to Funko and ask them to make a figure. They don't really do that. But this guy, he does. Like, he started a company to do that kind of stuff, to create figures of people, and they look so good. Like, the quality of these figures, my God, magnificent. When I say they look really good, they look really good. And the other thing too is that like the cost of them as well, very reasonable. So like they have a standard cost that they charge for like creating the figure. So that's probably around I think it's between 30 and 60 quid, depending on how detailed and what you want in the figure and the size or whatever have you and so forth. But then once they've done that mold, he'll charge you 30 quid to print them after that. So it's just 30 quid every other figure. So as a content creator, if you wanted to like make this a part of your business model, or offer this sort of merch to your fan base, it wouldn't cost that much, to sort of like create and like sell these figures. Basically, it would be a reasonable cost, because I mean, if it was, let's say 100 quid or something, I think it's a bit challenging to pay 100 quid per figure. Then you have to charge your fan base somewhere around that kind of price range, and that's not really good. But being able to just have it for 30 is not bad at all, so that is Figogo. I thought they were pretty cool as well at Comic-Con. I didn't really get to sit down and chat with them much. Like, we spoke briefly, and then we had made arrangements just to meet up again, but it just didn't happen. The weekend was just so busy.
Yeah. By the way, may I ask you, did you meet someone that you've met before, or someone you know from before, or?
Well, actually, the weirdest thing ever, I was at Comic-Con, and this guy who I know from, so there I did the whole first day, and I'm heading back on the train to my B&B, right? And I pull up on the train station. I've got my suitcase, I've got my backpack and my other backpack, and I'm just standing there checking some on my phone, and I hear someone say "Q," and I'm like, who the frack knows me here? Like, I know Chris is already gone somewhere else. Like, he's making his way back a different way, because Chris's whole idea was he would travel from our house to the convention center and back, which I thought was ridiculous. But basically, so Chris was going back another way, and I was on my way to the B&B. And so me hearing someone say Q was like, who the frack knows me? Who knows me? I turned around, and there's this guy who I knew from back in the day, and he used to hold events in Trinidad. He had an event called Gamescom, which was similar to this, actually, that he hosted in Trinidad and Tobago. And I covered that event in the past, and his name is Kevin Leaping. And so I look over, and there's Kevin, and I'm like, Kevin? And he's like, cool. he's like, hey, what's going on? What's up? I was like, I'm good. I was like, he's like, so you're doing press here? I was like, yeah. I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh man, like my sister has like some wedding or something, and as I came over and I decided I'm gonna do Comic-Con, you know, because I want to get some cards because he's collecting like One Piece cards, and we just chatted for like a bit, you know. We got on the same train, we chatted for a bit, and he hopped off. And it was nice. And then the second day I got back, I'm standing up at this because he told me, he's like, oh, you should check out the One Piece card. So I go to one of these stands that has One Piece cards in it, and I'm looking at the cards, and I look over and there's Kevin again standing next to me, and I'm like, hey. He's like, hey. So yeah, those are the only 2 times I saw him though. I don't know where he went after that.
Wow.
But yeah, I did run into someone that I knew, which was cool. I met a bunch of new people as well. There was one guy I met, his name was Nick. Coolest guy ever. Had a fedora and everything. And you know what we think about fedoras. Super cool. So he was a press guy working in the press. Yeah. And we had this interview session. So it was like a group interview session with press for to interview the lady who does the voice for Ash from Pokemon. Her name is Veronica. And so we were supposed to meet up early in the morning. I think it was we were meeting at 10 a.m. In this sort of like room, and then they'd take us to the room that we had to interview her from. We got into the room, everyone's setting up their cameras and everything like that, and then she comes in. But before she came in, there was this guy that came in, and he had a fedora on, and he had these 2 kids with him. And when I saw these 2 kids come into the room, actually no, he came in when did he come when we were downstairs? No,
I don't know.
I can't remember. Either way, when he entered the room with these 2 kids, I was like, wait a minute, these journalists are very small for journalists. Am I mistaken? So I look over them and I can see clearly on their badge says press. So I'm like, okay, they're definitely journalists, right? And then we basically do the interview with her. And one of the people who asked the question from his group, it was this little girl, right? So she asked the question to Veronica, and really eloquent the way she asked the question and everything like that. And then after the whole interview session was over, we're walking out, and he gets on the elevator with me, him and these 2 kids, and we get to talking, right? And he lets me know that these are his kids. And he's been doing this with them for like years now. Like, I think like they were like 3 or something when they started. So like they started really young. And now like his daughter writes a column for some magazine or something, I think. Or his son does something for an online publication. And they're like full-fledged journalists, but kids. And I was like, that is so cool. The coolest thing ever. And he said one of the most inspirational things to me on the weekend. And that was like, because I was talking about how exhausted I felt, like how tired I was. And I was looking forward to getting home and just like laying down, you know, for like, I was like, I'm going to take Monday and I'm just going to rest, you know? And he was like, rest? He was like, that's for when you're dead, you know? He's like, you got to grind, mate. Like, you know, rest when you're dead. And I was like, you know what? That's brilliant. So Monday comes wrong, and my brother's like, he calls me up. He's like, Q, what are you doing? I was like, I just, you know, doing a couple things here on the house and stuff like that. He's like, I'm thinking to go cycling. You want to come with? And you know, I turned to Alex. I was like, "Hey, Alexis asked me to go cycling," and she's like, "You should go." And I'm like, "You know what? I'm off, bro. I'll join you for the cycle." You know, he told me call him back. So I called him back. I was like, "Hey, I'm good to go." He's like, "All right, cool. I'll swing around by yours." And we went for 3 hours out on the bike. Your boy was out there burning, and I was sick. Keep in mind, I was still sick then because I got sick from the convention. But I went cycling on Monday, the Monday after the convention, hit it hard. And I'm talking, we were doing the hills and we were just chatting and laughing. And I'll be honest, the whole time we were out on the bikes, I did not feel sick. I didn't sneeze. I didn't cough. Nothing. That fresh air, that speed, that adrenaline, all of that manliness, that gusta. It was amazing. It was honestly amazing. I felt so great out there on the bike with my brother. Just, it was the best feeling ever. So cool. So amazing. I know there's a name in the chat. Ratcha, what's going on, man? I think it's morning for you. Good morning to you. Good morning, Ratcha. And he says hi to Roger as well.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah. All right. So essentially, Comic-Con was amazing. Comic-Con was super amazing. Had a great time at Comic-Con. There's so much more I want to talk about Comic-Con, but I think I need to put together videos and chuck some pictures up online. There are some pictures already on my Instagram. But yeah, Comic-Con was amazing. The people I met there, so cool. They were even, I remember one group of people, 2 people I met, it was just a couple, this guy and his missus. and we just met on the train and we just started chatting, and then we took a picture together, and it was cool. They were like one of the few people I actually took a selfie with, because most people I was just taking a picture of them. I was not in the picture, but they were one of the few that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get in that picture, right? But yeah, it was magnificent. MCM Comic Con, magnificent. One guy even gave me like some really nice Yu-Gi-Oh cards. He's just like, hey, I've got a bunch here. I don't need all of this. You can have some. I was like, really? He just gave me some cards. It was the coolest thing ever. I got stickers. I mean, man, I've got so many pictures to share with you guys. If you guys want to see the pictures and all that kind of stuff of what's going on for what happened at Comic Con and stuff like that, just follow my socials. Follow Simply Binge UK on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that kind of stuff, and you'll see them popping up throughout the week. I've already got some up right now. There will be more later. But yeah, you know, it was so cool, you know. So yeah,
I might consider to actually go like here in Stockholm. You know, I think it is in October, as said. Since we haven't been there for years, I would say, especially again due to the pandemic. Because as you said, it's a place to nerd out a bit, just chill and have fun, and you know, a lot of people are alike. They're there, of course, for the same kind of reason, more or less. And it's nice, and I like to see also, as said, you know, they have this cosplay competition as well. I think that's actually where Adam's. Well, that's many years ago now, but his like former girlfriend, she won that competition actually. Yeah, I think she was cosplaying as McCree, I think from Overwatch. Yeah, she's always been good at that. But even so, fun. I hear that you have a good time, and I'm really happy to hear that. We need these kind of stuff as well. You know, again, we've been very, you know, indoors at home for a long time, even though like the kind of, I don't know how to put it, the relief or the pressure from the whole pandemic thing has kind of, you know, it's a higher ceiling now. But even so, I mean, if I think about what I've been doing when it comes to activities or going elsewhere, it's hardly anything. It's not much at all. So it's good. It's good to hear. Yeah, looking forward to see some of the pics as well.
It is. That sounds good. It was a wonderful time. I wish you were there. I wish you were there with me. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's you know, sometimes it's also, yeah, that's one thing as well. I mean, cool to be alone and to meet like random people and as you say, nice people and taking pics. But sometimes it can also be nice to share that kind of happiness or joy, whatever it is, together with someone else that has you know, the same kind of how do you say, digest it the same way as you do. So yeah, I feel you. I know what you mean.
It was,
but that, who knows, that can happen maybe in the future. We talked about Gamescom as well. We'll see about that.
We'll see how that works out.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, I got to get into my week just briefly because it's been a very, I mean, compared to going to not Gamescom, but Comic-Con, it's nothing really fancy like that. But it's been a good week, I would say. After we recorded last week, Thursday last week, we had quite a long rehearsal with the band, the hard rock band. And as said, now it's very inspirational. It's very fun. And we're putting songs together and like set list and everything for... Yeah, it's like two different projects, you might say. So that's good. We're gonna meet up tomorrow again. It's gonna be actually at least half a day. So I'm putting those hours away for that in particular. Besides that, I don't know. I have to think if we did something. Yeah, it was like, you know, Sunday was, at least here in Sweden, it was Mother's Day. So first off, phone call to my mom, of course, you know, hello. But also we just went quickly for a lunch down by the water. I mean, Stockholm is surrounded by water apparently, so it's not that far. There's a small like family restaurant, like an Italian place, which is really nice. They're nice people, but also good food. They have one of the best lasagnas I've ever eaten, and that's interesting enough in Sweden. So so we went there. I wanted Annalie to you know, to taste it as well, because I've been there with the boys before, but not with her. So we went there and had a good time, good lunch, and we went back because she's been studying. Annie has her it's her last race to freedom, I would say, when it comes to the years of studying alongside with working, becoming becoming a principal. So she's doing her last task now. I think she's gonna be on she's gonna be away. I think it's to Thursday to Friday for the last sessions they have. And then I think she has to. There's a date when she has to leave her, like the last assignment. I'm not sure. It's quite a lot of words that has to be written, of course, as it usually is, a few thousand. But besides, yeah, I guess being quite busy. I would say it's been like a lot of things to do. But the week went fast. I think that's also very common. When you have a lot of things to take care of or do, the week goes pretty fast. So here we are, a new one, and already midweek. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, one thing I need to do, because that's so typical also when we've both been occupied, me and Anneli especially, is that when I look at our backside here, that the grass and the flowers on our lawn, it's a bit too high now. We really need to cut it. So I think a lawnmower session has to be scheduled as well. So yeah, that's it. But I'm happy about the weather too. It makes such a difference when it's better weather. Oh my God, it's everything is easier, I would say.
Not really. Everything's easier when it's warmer. It's that's when the plants grow fast. They grow so quickly, and it's when it's warmer.
Yeah. But as you said, I mean, you're getting accustomed to it too. I mean, living in the four-season kind of part of the world, or a section of it, it has its perks as well.
It does.
Because you get different kind of weather, but also you really learn to appreciate when it changes into this period, I guess. And as said, I see it clearly also regarding my neighbors that starts to wear the shorts already in April. But it's great. It's great. So yeah, fingers crossed. I know that Adam just he picked his semester, the weeks when he's going to be off from work. So we're scheduling that. I don't think we don't have any super plans for the summer, but we'll see. We'll do some stuff, but we're not going abroad or anything. It's just that too. It's like a bit of a holding the money tight also due to all the costs nowadays. So
I think in general, I don't think you need to travel far to have a good experience for your summer. I think, especially when you consider how big these countries are, there's always somewhere in your home country where you probably have not been or have not experienced and so forth. And
absolutely.
You can say the same for smaller countries as well. Like even in Trinidad and Tobago, there are parts of Trinidad and Tobago that I've never visited. And it's not even that big of a country, but just, throughout your life, you just haven't visited those places. So you don't actually have to travel around most of the time. You can find stuff wherever you are.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, we have done that. I think you remember we went to, is that 2 summers ago? We went to this little island called Ven, which was it was Swedish, then it was Danish, and now it's Swedish again. It's the whole history behind it and everything. But it's cool, it's so we'll find something out, definitely. I don't have a huge urge either to really go somewhere. I don't feel that I really need to. At a certain point, probably soon, maybe in a year from now, I would like to go. But we'll see. We'll take it from there. I know that Anneli, due to as I just said, due to both her work and also finishing her studies, she will have to split her vacation, I believe. So that means also we have to think a bit more careful of how we plan things, I guess. Take that into consideration at least. So yeah, we'll see.
Seems
but
like a brilliant
I guess
plan.
but that's the week. That's the week. There we go.
Solid week if I do say so myself.
I agree, sir.
So
yeah,
moving on from that, I think the best thing, what we've been watching, or we've been playing, that kind of stuff. I think generally for me, this past week, I have played one game, which I'm not going to go into much details out of because of the fact that I haven't played it a lot, and also I don't have the footage of it up on the screen. The footage of this on the screen is another game, but hey, it is what it is. I've been playing this game called Loop 8 Summer of Gods, which the embargo lifts for the review embargo lifts today. So you will probably be seeing reviews for it up online starting from today and so forth. And I got it on Friday during Comic-Con. I got my key, I guess, late. Which was my fault. I didn't reach out for a key until Friday, to be honest. Like, I was checking my emails. I was like, holy crap, that game comes out to like I need to like email them like as soon as possible because I'd forgotten the release date for this game. Loop 8 Summer of Gods is a game by Marvelous. I don't know if you guys know Marvelous. They make games like, they used to make Senran and Kagura. They don't make that anymore. But they make a bunch of other games of that ilk, you know, anime based sort of like RPGs and stuff like that. That's kind of like their bread and butter. And so Loop 8 is basically described, like its genre is described as an adventure RPG visual novel, right? To just give you guys an understanding, obviously if it's a visual novel, it's going to be a lot of text to read or get through. It's got the RPG elements, you know, battling and stuff like that. It's got a sort of like a turn-based battle system built into it. And there's that adventure side of it. So the whole story is basically about this this guy who he's been shipped down to Earth. Apparently, there are these monsters that have basically like taken over the whole world and destroyed everything. And there's one little town in Japan that has survived. And this little town, the monsters just don't attack that town for some reason, and no one knows why. And your character, or the character that you play as, he has been sent back to that town from in space for some reason. And he is staying with some family there. And that's kind of the plot line of it to begin with. Right. The game is out on June the 6th for Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Steam, and Xbox One, or Xbox Series, whatever platform you have on, basically. But either way, the thing is that like I've been playing it on Steam, and it's a whole coming of age kind of story. So you start off initially with you're at the house with like your cousin, and you know, they're kind of talking to her and stuff like that. I find the dialogue to be a bit jarring because like when she's talking, he responds, but you don't hear the responses of him talking. So then at first I thought it was like, oh, maybe he's a silent protagonist. Maybe you just don't hear him talking. But then when he's by himself, there's voice dialogue for him. So it's kind of weird in a jarring way. I don't know whose creative idea that was, but I find it's ridiculous. Like, I don't like that. I think if you're going to do voice, do voice. Don't just do it weird like that. So that I think for me didn't sit well with me at I'm in the beginning stages. Just hope maybe that changes, but I'm very early in the game, so I can't really say much else about it. But that's what they gave me at the beginning. There's this cutscene where she's talking to him and telling him like, oh, don't bring any girls around by the house and all this sort of stuff, and he won't bring anyone by the house. So she won't bring anyone in the house, but he's like responding, like she's responding to responses, but you don't hear anything from him. So I don't know if maybe it's a glitch and they need to fix that, or if it is, because then when he's by himself, they will have a dialogue where he's talking and he'll be like, you know, I didn't think about, you know, what would happen here when I came down and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, wait a minute, he's got a voice. Like, what is this? This is kind of weird. And the thing is, you also have relationships to build with different characters throughout. So you have the main character, I think his name is Nini. And then you have Konoha, who's the cousin that he's staying with. And then you have different characters from the school. So there are a few kids who are in school with him, and you know, you kind of have to like become friends with them and stuff like that. I guess it's got a bit of dating sim aspect to it somehow, you know. So sneeze.
Yeah, there we go.
I did mention I was sick,
Yeah.
and that's what just happened. My sickness came out of my nose. Okay. So yeah, that is Loop 8 for the PC, Switch, PS4, and Xbox. You know, I would say honestly, and I can see Ratchet is saying Loop 8 was on his radar. I would say Loop 8 is a kind of wait for me kind of game. Like I don't know what it's going for. I'm assuming it's going let's see the price. So if we were to punch in, I'm just going to do UK prices. So UK, let's put standard edition and platform as Nintendo Switch. And let's check Amazon. And let's see what price they have it at. So price-wise, you're looking at $44.99. Honestly, I would say wait for review. That's what I would say for this price. For the price that it is, I would say wait for review. Because I myself, as I say, I haven't gotten through enough of the content to give you guys an opinion and say, hey, yes, you should play it, or no, you shouldn't. This is my review, guys, right? I can say what I want now because the embargo was lifted, but I can't really I don't have enough to give you guys to say this is what it is, all I can say is this is what I've experienced so far. I would say wait for the other reviews that would drop sometime today. There will be other people dropping their reviews throughout the day today, so you will see that kind of stuff as embargo is today. I will be trying to get through more of the content in the game this coming week. So if you want a review from me or more information from me, you can look forward to that later in the week or later in the day, depending on how much I can get done. But generally speaking, I think Loop 8 is, it's an interesting concept. I like the graphics. I like the look of the game. I am not sure I like the way in which it's executed with regards to the dialogue. And that's where it kind of breaks it for me. When they're talking, I'm kind of also the main character can't run. That's the other thing that weirds me out. He walks everywhere. And, there's a sort of time management thing where you have a limited amount of time to do certain things in per day. So that also is kind of weird because he walks everywhere. So it takes forever to get anywhere with him. And I kind of, that's also, it's why isn't there no run button? I literally spent the first few minutes in that game pressing every button on the controller trying to see if he would run. And he didn't. And then I was like, fuck it. And then I had to, at that point in time, while I was trying it out, I was realizing the time was running down. So I was like, damn it. so I just had to screw it. I'm just going to have to go. Whatever happens. But yeah, it's an interesting game. I would say during this month of June, I don't know if it's top priority for me as a June game. If I were buying games this month, I was particularly picking up new games this month, I think for me it would probably be Story of Seasons would probably be higher on my list, which is also from the same publisher. Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life, which I believe comes out on June the 25th, I think. I think that would be my highest priority this month if I were to pre-order a game, I'd probably have Story of Seasons, that's the end of the month, 27th. That'd probably be high on my list. And if you only had the amount to buy one of these games, I'd save the money, get Story Seasons at the end of the month. If not, I would say again, hold for reviews because there's so much to talk about this game, and I'm not sure I'm qualified to give a full opinion on it yet. So yeah, that's as much as I can say about it. I will have more to say soon, hopefully.
Most likely. Yeah, but we're keeping our eyes open for the more. Yeah, as you said, I think it's a good saying without knowing anything about the game yet. But wait for reviews and see what people say. That's gonna happen. But that's how it is with new games. And also be careful when you decide to pre-order. We talked about that too. Make sure if you're really, really sure about something, well, do it. But otherwise than that, I usually say be careful because games are games. Games
are games. And as Racha said in the chat, shout out to Nami. She is best girl. That is so true, Racha. But yeah, Rod, you've been playing something. Talk to us. Say what it is.
Yes, I will. I will give you a free-to-play option, actually. I have been checking out an old game that has brought new content into it. And it's a game that I haven't played that much, but it's a game that I reckon to be a very, very good free-to-play game. Most likely the best in its genre, at least. And the genre is quite special, and it holds that area as well. And I'm talking about Warframe, that was released in 2013. I have been a bit of a back and forth guy also with Warframe. This is a game that you most likely need to really, really play a lot to get into. It's a grindy game. Even though the newest update has kind of made it a bit easier for you in that grind, but it's still there. Yeah, so what they did is, which kind of came across, and I didn't really know, but they made update late April, I would say, 25th or something. It's a new quest, or even you can almost say a campaign, actually, which is kind of, it actually dropped my jaw I need to be honest to say I was so surprised. I mean, it's a free-to-play game. It was released in 2013, and they still do this. What they've done is that they put in this kind of quest called the Deviri Paradox, and it kind of brings something new, not like 100% new into the Warframe universe, but it's something that will, especially if you come into Warframe now, I think it's quite a good thing to do to start play this game if you want to in 2023, because it's I think as a new player you can if you play it for the first time, or if you're returning as I did, you have the opportunity to choose one of the like two beginnings for your story, either the Warframe path or the Paradox path. So both these will like converge in time, but it's up to you to decide, So it puts really like cool, like the new and old content, you might say, together in a very cool way. And I got really stuck. I played hours of this new, like the Deviri Paradox. And I said it, I dropped my jaw, and it doesn't happen that often nowadays. I was like, this is free to play? You gotta be freaking kidding me, I would say it's something that most companies would charge like at least $25-$30 for,
Yeah.
So it's it's a very, I'm happy to see, especially since I've been sitting here talking very often, at least in my field, also when it comes to FPS games, that I've been so disappointed recently, the recent years, because there's been so many games that has been bad. And then this shows up almost from nowhere for me, and I did a video, if you're that has been doing well. It kind of popped, and I can understand, because people really like this. When you get like a comment from someone that has like 4K hours in Warframe, and are happy about this change or this addition to the game, because sometimes how it can be. If you play the game for a very long time, you're very like on your toes when something new comes around.
Yeah.
Will it be good? Will it change too much? Will it, all these kind of questions coming up. But it seems that at least the majority of the community around Warframe are happy with this new quest and the Deviri Paradox. So a big shout out to the guys behind Warframe and everything. I salute you. I have to say, I mean, as said, I've always reckoned Warframe to be a very special game. It is special in its genre as well. I mean, the whole mix with this MMO and sci-fi shooter thing is pretty cool. And now they're taking it like a step further due to this update. Sure, I mean, when you've played it, and you fall back and also play like the older stuff you've done before, apparently. But it will, and it is showing partly a new path also within the old ways of Warframe. So again, I'm I'm positive here, and it's really nice to discover something like this when you think you knew what it was, but apparently you didn't. At least not everything. So cool. That's Warframe.
It's Warframe for you. And the thing is like, for me personally, as I've played Warframe back in the past as well.
Yeah, you and I actually played.
We have to together.
Together, we recorded gameplay. I remember. Quite a few years ago.
I think a lot of like in the past, like we had a lot of friends. Like when this was like back when we first met, like we had a bunch of friends who were playing Warframe. Like a lot of people who were just like, because it just come out. And essentially, like everyone was trying to figure out like what was this game about, like how does it play, and all that kind of stuff. And now it's good to see that it's still around and it's doing well.
It's
considering
doing very well. Has a lot of players too, very strong player base.
Does have a strong player base as well. And just considering all the games that have gone the wayside, and this is still here, still
exactly
fighting through.
Strong identity. I think that's one of the things too. You really profile yourself as something, like as said, it's not for everyone, but that's how I think it also should be nowadays. Also, people, or a lot of devs are concerned. They try to please so many at the same time, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I've seen too many of those kind of games also when it comes to as said, again, since I'm mainly covering like FPS games. There was this game just the other day. It's called Crow. Not a well-known game, but it had like potential, and long story short, they're shutting down. So it's like, I see a lot of this. So
you can't please everyone.
No, that's what my kind of saying is, maybe it's good to stick to an idea, really try to make it like 100% all the way. And along the way, it's like with music, you have to, if you really like what you do, even though it might be like a smaller field of music. I mean, I just go back and think about the days when I was working with contemporary music, apparently. Very narrow genre and everything, but still we managed to get like quite a big following when it comes to what we did, even though, and I'm referring to the years I had with 25 years we had, like when it comes to Chromata together. So I think it's the same here. You just, I don't know. It's, I can understand that it's a thing when people, especially smaller studio, they look what's popular. Okay, a Battle Royale. Let's make a Battle Royale game. Well, you also have to consider that there's quite a few of them out there, and some really, really big titles. And what can you bring to the table that is, well, I hardly use the word unique nowadays because it's so hard to make something unique.
Yep.
At least of the true meaning of the word. But at least something that kind of, sticks out a bit, and as said, profiling yourself as a bit different or whatever have you. So,
but when you consider the indie studios who eventually, like those ones who blow up and become something big, you consider, like, for example, like the guys who did Among Us or something like that. When they did Among Us, it was unique. There was nothing else like Among Us out, and then they did Among Us, and then it became popular. When you consider like the guys behind PUBG, or you consider the guy, you consider, for example, like League of Legends and and so forth. No one else was really doing what they were doing, and I mean, you can make the argument that with League of Legends there was Dota, but the way in which Riot did League of Legends, it was different. And so I think that's the thing. I think as
another good comparison is, we talked about, and I played recently Paladins.
That again, so like another good
Paladins one. Overwatch, you have that too. You made a good comparison. That's also, but they've also found their even though you might argue and say, well, they're very much alike, but at the same time they aren't. So they have found their niche, and their audience apparently. So
and I think what made Paladins I guess made it special when Overwatch first came out. We have to remember Overwatch was not free to play initially. You had to buy Overwatch.
Exactly.
Paladins was free to play, and that really did allow them to, I guess, have its own market as its own little thing. Where it's a similar style of game or whatever have you, but one of them you had to actually pay and buy into that ecosystem, and the other one you could just download and start playing. And I think that's where Paladins was able to find its legs, was because it was free to play, the only free to play game of that similar type in the market. Yes, the gameplay is different, slightly different, but it's a similar sort of like space. So I think I like what you said with the whole we can't please everyone, and I think that literally, not just for games but in general, whether it's movies or film or whatever have you, I think as a creative person, you just cannot please everyone. You have to find your niche, and stick to it. Like focus on that, and then that's how you become how you break into the scene. Like you have to find what works for you. And speaking of film, I think that's another good angle. I think that's what we could transition to, which is for me, what I've been watching this week, which was Prehistoric Planet. I watched the screening for Prehistoric Planet 2, which is on Apple TV Plus, which is done by David Attenborough. And it basically says travel back 66 million years to when majestic dinosaurs and extraordinary creatures roamed the land, sea, and sky. And I remember when I was booking my appointments for Comic-Con and I saw David Attenborough pop up, and I was like, yes, please. I was like, I was just imagining like,
Sounds like a main course.
I was like, say no more. A screening of a David Attenborough show, you don't even have to ask. I am down, buddy. I am down. And I made sure to make it to that appointment so quickly. Like I got in there, I sat down, I got comfortable. There were a bunch of other people in there sitting down waiting when I got in. You know, the good thing though, because I had a press badge, there was like a side entrance they had to get into the room because they had like reserved seats for us. So I was able to just like slide in nicely, and oh, it was so good. Like just listening to his voice and it started off and stuff, and I was like, yes, this is amazing. So essentially this is a David Attenborough series where they do a lot of CGI, and they've got dinosaurs, and it's so cool, and they sort of like tell stories from this perspective of these dinosaurs. You know, and so they'll say like this dinosaur, you know, this is what's going on with this one, and then you see them surviving and trying to get mates, and you know, all this sort of stuff, and being eaten and stuff, and it's amazing the way in which it's done. He keeps moving from creature to creature, and he goes through the stories, and you get to see them up close and beautiful, and the CGI looks amazing. It's really, really good. The only thing I would say is, and this is something that I want to hack on with regards to a lot of the stuff that I saw screened at Comic-Con, because we did see a preview as well for this Star Trek series as well. That's currently on Paramount Plus, and that's kind of what I want to talk about actually. Because we already know that that Prehistoric Planet is amazing. It's an 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb. I give it a 10 out of 10. And I've only seen one episode. But, you know, I'm confident. This is David Attenborough. We ain't got to worry about that.
What can go wrong? What can go wrong?
Exactly. What I really want to talk about is the fact that we've got way too many streaming services. I am at the point where piracy is starting to look very nice to me.
Yeah, it starts to become a bit ridiculous, to be honest.
It's ridiculous because every time a new show, like these are amazing shows. The new Star Trek series that's on Paramount Plus, I'm like, oh, this looks so amazing, but it's on Paramount Plus. I've already got so many other streaming services, right? Yeah. It's sort of becoming, and I thought the whole idea of streaming services was supposed to defeat cable. That whole way in which cable did things, where you had all these different channels that you didn't need and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of the same thing with all these streaming services, because you don't need all of them, you know, because sometimes it's just one show you want to see on a streaming service and you have to pay for this whole streaming service, right? Yeah, it's just one thing, you know, and it's like, no, cable is starting to look good again. You know, it's like, oh, well, when you consider the cost you're paying for 5, 6, 7 different streaming services, you know, you add it up, and it's starting to look expensive.
Exactly. That's interesting. I haven't been, you're onto something. I haven't been thinking about that so much. Mm-hmm. I know we've talked about this a bit before, and I know you canceled 1 or 2 or something. Yeah. We did the same, sticking with, what is it, like HBO, Netflix, Amazon. Mm-hmm. Do we have something else? I think we only have 3 right now. Mm-hmm. But even so, as you said, it becomes so weird, especially when it's so like, all out there, you know, in a certain series that you want to watch. Mm-hmm. And then, as you said, I have to start to count also a bit here, because I mean we don't use a cable service apparently, since, you know, streaming is a thing. But then when you start to think about it, how much does it cost you every month? Well, it's close to the same. It is. It is getting close. It is getting close to the cost of. Or actually, I think it's about the same.
It is about the same, because if you consider, like, for example, right?
You have 3, 4 at least.
Let's just try to run the numbers here. So, how much does each
there we go.
streaming service cost? All right. So basically, there should be someone gonna have put together all of these. The cost of each streaming service. Someone's made a list, and we will pull that list.
I knew it. There's always someone that has.
There's always a list, right? So if we were to run through this list, right, and we were just let me get a calculator app open one time. Yeah. Let's actually try to see how much it would cost if you wanted to get every streaming service that was worth having. So we'll exclude Hulu because of the fact that that's only available in the US and we're not in the US. So even though that is an option, but we won't do that. So let's start with Netflix, right? You're going to go with this. Oh wow, they've got these prices in the US, but it is okay. All right, so we're looking at the basic package of Netflix costs $8.99 a month with additional packages and so forth. The standard package is $12.99. Now this is probably what most people have because you have like multiple users and stuff like that. So we'll go to $12.99. Let's call it 13 quid, right? Yeah. And then we will add Amazon Prime because pretty much everyone gets Amazon because they want to be able to buy shit from Prime.
Quite a few. Yeah.
So it says here, if you plan on only subscribing to Amazon Video, you'll be getting $8.99. If you're on Prime Video, also overall Prime subscription $12.99. So we're gonna another 13 quid
13.
to that.
Yeah, 13.
So 13 again. So that's we're all up to, we're on 26 already, right? We're already up to 26. Then you want to get Disney Plus, right? So Disney Plus has, let's see the cost of Disney Plus. So it says here, subscription for Disney Plus, it's $7 a month. I'm seeing something here that says $12. What is this? There's also a package. Oh, this is if you get Disney Plus with Hulu and all that kind of stuff. I don't think Disney Plus is $7 anymore. I think the price went up. I think this price.
I think so too. It's more the same as Amazon or in Netflix, I believe.
I think so as well because I remember while we canceled it, we were just looking at the price of everything, and I was like, it is kind of pricey right now. We're gonna have to drop Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Let me actually click on Disney Plus and see what they say on their website. I'll tell you. Trying to open it. It's not letting me open the website. Look at that. It knows I'm gonna judge it. Let's try. It knows.
Aha. You're sneaking on me, are you?
It's wait a minute, buddy. Don't be putting out my stuff in the open. And you know what's the other thing too I find with a lot of these services? They don't actually put their prices so easy to find. Like you have to start setting up an account. It is not right there for you. Okay, so I'm seeing here right now, it's actually $7.99 a month. Which is
it? Yeah,
it is something. Okay. So the price is still low.
Okay,
so
well, 8.
Let's put 8. Let's put 8. Yeah. Let's put 8.
Let me add one more. I think one more. It's a kind of average thing nowadays. A lot of people have like 3 or 4.
Yeah. All right. So we're all up to 34 quid already, right? This is 34 at the moment. Yeah. Well, up to 34 right now. And then
I can say we have cable already.
We've got cable.
A smaller option, a smaller package, through a provider.
And then you have service. You have services like HBO Max, which is $14.99. If you wanted to get sports, that's Fubo TV. Fubo is $19.99 a month, right? Or you could get it for the standard Fubo, which is $54.99, which is expensive. You can get ESPN Plus. That's only in the US though, so we'll leave that one out. And these aren't even all because again, considering the fact if you want to get Apple TV Plus, that's a cost. Apple TV Plus is that's $5 a month. Then if you consider what do you call it? Paramount Plus, that's another cost by itself.
Sure, yeah.
Literally, we're looking at least, if I wanted to round it all up, we're looking at these $40 plus on services. And that will depend on region, That will obviously depend on region. Yeah. But when you consider how much does cable cost now, so let's just see cost of cable. COST cost.
There's option, of course, there's 2. I said, when it comes to different packages, I know we've had that, but you start to get around. I guess you pay for a bit of a freedom too when it comes to streaming, though. I mean, not having to be forced to sit down at 8 p.m. just to watch that favorite movie, right?
But the thing is that you have to consider like a lot of these cable packages now, like Sky. So let's say, for example, here in the UK we have Sky, right? So Sky, let's say Sky packages. You can actually watch stuff outside of the time slot that they played. Like it will save it for you and you can watch it,
Yeah, true.
So you don't actually have, so if we go for Sky TV, if I look at the cost of Sky TV per month, right, which will include, Sky TV includes Netflix, by the way. So you get Netflix as a part of Sky TV plus access to all the stuff that Sky has access to, which will include like the Premier League, so football and all that kind of stuff. And you look at the cost, it's 40 quid a month, right? So 40 quid a month. You're obviously locked into a package of you have to stay with them for 17 months, but 40 quid a month, that's essentially what you're paying if you're having all these streaming services, if you just want to see what you want to see. So again, we've got cable.
Exactly. The revival, of cable. It's interesting. Again, as I said, I haven't really thought about this, but when we look at it a bit closer, well, look at that now. Yeah. I will have a family meeting here, and I will come back saying what we came up with. No, I'm just kidding. But it's interesting.
It is. It is. I mean, we're all gonna have a we're all probably gonna switch back to a cable package. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe the plan has always been get them to think, oh, these packages are nice. Let them try it out, and then eventually they'll feel so horrible by the way this is set up. They'll eventually get cable again, and that's just gonna be
exactly. Yeah, that's the agenda.
Yeah. So yeah,
okay.
that's kind of it. So with that being said,
yeah,
Raj,
yeah,
you didn't speak about what you've been watching, have you?
No, I have been watching, and I haven't been watching this through regular streaming. Let's put it out there. Oh, who said that? Well, I be the person. Okay, I have been. Well, I've been leaving that behind already. I have been watching the new John Wick movie, which is Chapter 4. And as you may have heard, I'm not sure how much you know about the film or the series overall, but it's of course Keanu Reeves again. It's John Wick. And he's on this path to defeating the High Table. He's been under this. He's been out in the cold for quite some time, and he's trying to earn his freedom. But of course, he has to face off a new enemy, and it's interesting because I had forgotten that this partly the face of the enemy, I would say, is actually. One of the Skarsgård actors, kind of interesting, which is Bill Skarsgård, who played It, for example. And he's doing it well here as well. The movie is great. I mean, this is... I watched a kind of a YouTube video when it comes to Keanu Reeves and his training again, and he's amazing, I gotta say. A lot of the fighting, of course, but also some stunts and especially also the car driving he's doing it, he's doing it. And it has an 8.0 on IMDb. That's easily an 8.0 for me, maybe even more. Highly... Well, if you like this kind of, action, then of course you have to watch John Wick 4. If you haven't watched the other ones, I would highly recommend you maybe to watch them before watching the fourth one. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say so much more about it because then you just get into spoilers, and I don't want to do that. But it's exciting, and it's good to see Keanu Reeves again, but also Lawrence Fishburne and some other actors, George Giorgio, and it's good stuff, good action, high quality. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't seen it yet, so it's on my bucket list. So when I do see it, because I've already seen all the others so far, so exactly. I'm looking forward to checking it out. And then next time when I've seen it, we shall have a full conversation about it, spoilers included.
Exactly.
And the rest of you who haven't seen it, well, sucks to be you. So you have enough time along with me to catch up. So yes,
indeed.
Roger, I think we've got an episode there, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so too. It was. Yeah, time flies when you have a good time, as we say.
Yep.
And I still have this cable thing in my head going on. I'm like
the prices,
counting Swedish kronas here in my head, so I'm a bit dizzy. I think I need some coffee, to be honest.
I'm actually looking at Sky's website, like looking at the packages and seeing the costs included, because Sky has it broken down. So basically, it starts with £13 a month, and then you add different things to the package, and it works its way up to 40. So so you start with, let's say you wanted to add the Premier League, that's a 20 there on top of that. So now it's 33. Yeah. And then you wanted to get so Netflix is included, so you don't have to pay for that. So you get that free. Then if you wanted Ultra HD, you could pay for that extra. You can skip ads. You can pay for an extra £5 to skip ads. So let's put a £5. So it's like regular streaming services. So no ads. That's 38. And then let's just say you wanted cinema, you at 11, you're already at 49. That's around the same price as having all those streaming services. That's pretty much the same thing. So, and that includes you with that, you're going to get your Sky, you're going to get your Sky Entertainment, you're going to get your super fast broadband thingy-mabove. Because I think this includes your internet as well. So you're getting all this stuff in one package. Okay. For me, I think, generally speaking, and this is not me marketing for Sky, because I don't like the idea of having a big package like this. I just think, my God, streaming services, they were supposed to be the ones to save us from these ridiculous prices, and now they have joined the dark side.
But yeah. It's
Yo,
it's a bit blurry here. Huh?
it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference, I think, is that we pick our streaming services. Like we could technically decide we don't want another streaming service and stuff like that. The only thing is, a lot of the stuff that we want are on different streaming services. Because for Disney Plus, I want Bluey. For Paramount Plus, I want that Star Trek series. For Apple TV, there's this basketball series I want to watch, and the one for David Attenborough. For Netflix, there's quite a few series I want to watch on Netflix. I have on my list. For Prime, The Boys, right?
Exactly.
For Crunchyroll, that's where I get my anime, right? So need that, right?
Yeah, but also the logistic here, because as you're mentioning, some of this series, well, you have like one season coming, and then you have to wait like half a year more until it comes back, which means that you could literally just, cancel the whatever subscription or whatever you want to call it,
and renew it later.
Yeah, exactly. So it becomes like, I think I need to make like a schedule here and start to check out when is this coming back. Okay, we can have a hold on this. We can just cancel and then come back, and you save some money doing that, because as it is right now, if I think about it, well, Amazon, there's really nothing I am watching on a regular basis as for now. We're watching Doom Patrol and, as you said, The Boys, maybe something else once in a while, but not really. I think I've spent a bit more time, at least it has been like that a few more, like a months back, watching some series on Netflix on a more regular basis. As I said, I'm watching Narcos. Narcos is still great and everything, but whatever. So you can basically do that. Like it's like island hopping if you're going to the Caribbean or whatever. What you do, I don't know. It's like, or it's weird, man. It's weird.
It is so weird.
This puts a stress on my system. It
is, and then you have to keep managing it all. You have to keep up with everything.
Exactly.
That's no fun. No one wants to be spending all this time managing all these services, and I need to cancel this and renew this and do that. And then every time, it is unmanly. And the other thing too, every time something good comes out, you have to ask the question, okay, what the frack is it on? Because it's not like, and do I have that subscription service? It is torturous. Like, honestly, it is torturous to say the least. Do I have the same? And again, that is where piracy starting to look good again, because the whole point of these streaming services, it was that people wouldn't feel the need to pirate stuff because it made it easy and it was affordable. Now, when you have all these different things, and there are like third-party pirating apps that have everything in one place. You can literally just log into this thing, and it's got all the shows in one place, and you don't have to like have 5-6 different streaming services. People are gonna start using those things more often again.
Of course. Yeah.
So
that's just
they've just created their own problem again. Like, honestly, they were so close to like making piracy seem more, because that was the whole thing of why I think more people started like signing up to streaming services more than they were pirating, because it was more convenient. And now it's become less convenient. People are going to switch back. They're going to, like, honestly, I know so many people who've started pirating again, right? I'm not one of those people yet, but I could see myself at some point. I could see myself inevitably getting to that point where I'm just like, you know what? It's too much work. It's just too much. It's too costly, too much work. I'm good, They honestly, like, I think these streaming services need to think about this sort of stuff, especially when you consider the cost that they keep raising the prices as well. Every year we get an increase in streaming services. And it's not to say like salaries are increasing at the same rate. So
and the problem is they think, oh, it's not that much still. I mean, we can do that, we can raise, but they don't think, okay, so the average person again out there have like minimum 2, most likely 3, 4, or even 5 some. So where does that end up? Well, you have a problem. You, as you said, they create the situation. It's their fault.
They create a problem. And you know what's the other thing too, as well? They're also doing it where they want to eliminate people from sharing it with their friends and family as well. So that now you have, because that's a way where people could sort of like maybe save. Maybe if if you and I have 2 different streaming services. So you have Disney Plus, I have Netflix, and I give you my password for Netflix. You give me your password for Disney Plus.
Yeah, right.
It works out. right? But more and more they're trying to come up with different plans. So, oh no, you can't use it within different houses and all this sort of stuff. And I think that's
Exactly.
ridiculous. I think a good example of an alternative to that, what Microsoft has done with regards to Game Pass, and they haven't distributed this throughout the world, but it's in a couple countries. Essentially, you can have a Game Pass subscription where you have like 5 or 6 different people on the subscription, and they don't have to live in the same house, just in the same country.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nintendo has the same thing with the Nintendo Online, which I'm not a big advocate of Nintendo Online because I think it's kind of crap. At least what they offer. But the fact of the matter is, one person could pay for a subscription, and a bunch of people could be on that subscription together instead of it being, and they don't have to be in the same house, just the same country, because obviously for like, I guess, tax reasons or whatever. But the point of the matter is that it works.
Yep.
Right?
It does.
That is the way you should do it, instead of having all these cumbersome ways of trying to like monetize your platform, because it's not convenient, and human beings, we like convenience. The more inconvenient you make something, the less likely we are to want to interact with it. But that being said, I think we should get out of here. I need to go and check on the family.
It's interesting topic, this, isn't it? But even so, we're gonna leave. Thank you for I almost said watching, but partly watching if you're doing it like in the live stream. But of course listening, and hopefully you enjoyed, and hope to talk to you soon again, and maybe in a week from now. You got the tips here when it comes to Tele, some good gaming, both old and new apparently as well. Good mix. So take care, my friends. Stay healthy and get out, get some sun and healthy air and all that beautiful stuff. Eat an apple, and I talk to you soon again. So muffin and out.
Beautiful as always. So with that, guys, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, you can find Raj pretty much everywhere at 40 Split Splash. That's number 40 with SPLISH, SPLASH. He streams on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and on a Sunday. That's correct?
Yep.
Oh, that's beautiful. You can find me at LP Gardner's Garden Total You pretty much everywhere. You can also find me at Simply Binge pretty much everywhere. Or Simply Binge UK. That is, I stream on Simply Binge. When do I stream on Simply Binge? That's a Monday and a
Thursday.
A Thursday. Look at you knowing days, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You see, this is why that's why we make a good team. Also, Chris has been streaming on Twitch. He streamed yesterday. So
nice.
So yeah, you guys can come and find out whatever Chris is streaming. I don't know when he streams. He streams sporadically, different hours. But he told me he'll try to make up for days that I'm not streaming. So we'll see how that goes. He only started yesterday, so we'll see what happens. But I think he started streaming like 3 in the afternoon, which is before your stream starts, Rog.
Okay.
I think so. I think he finished at 6. So he started at 3, finished at 6, which is you started at 6. So whatever. Anywho, you can
before you stop, I have to ask you something. It's gaming related.
Go for it.
Will you check out Diablo 4?
I'm thinking about it. It's on my it is on my radar. Why? Do you want to play with me?
Maybe. I was just I was just watching Diablo 4 kind of stuff before we started to record. I was just curious. Just checking.
I've got some people asking me about playing Diablo 4 together with them. So I could, if you're down, I could Diablo 4.
It's okay. No, it's not like a super priority. I was just also interested if you even think about the game, because I mean, we're talking about a classic here. So it's like,
I think it's on Game Pass, isn't it?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about checking that out because, Game Pass is a thing.
That's another subscription service.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's one that's worth it. But either way, that being said, thank you very much for listening to this episode of That Beautiful Life podcast. As always, we would like you to listen to any of the episodes of That Beautiful Life podcast. Many beautiful people like subscribe to this podcast on Castbox, Acast, Spotify, iTunes, simplybinge.com, and elsewhere, Google Podcasts as well. And as always, we're giving away for free. So as always, guys, this has been queued. Your pleasure. And it's a wrap. That's the episode.